Hails YouTube, it's the Prince of Mill Ave again, and while I intend to make a specific response video for each of my subscribers, I realized that it would be much more elucidating to do something of a questions and answers session this time, especially because my subscriber, MyRealityBites, decided to ask a couple questions about Mill Avenue that I'm probably eminently available to answer. Specifically, and I read, what exactly is Mill Avenue? Is it an arts district, a hangout of sorts, or a shopping area? Or all of the above? Well, I'm going to answer D, all of the above, although it's not as much of an arts district as it could be. There are already a documentary called Mill Ave Inc. out by Holthaus, the producer of the video, about when Mill Avenue was much more of a music scene than it is today. It had a much more thriving community and culture before they tried to start upscaling it. Probably about 5 years ago, a lot of the more interesting stores were being pushed out by an increase, basically, in the rent on each of the different slots, and the construction of, well, condominiums, most notably these two huge towers called the Centerpoint Towers, which led to the shutdown of our Centerpoint theaters. Fortunately, we do have an art theater called Valley Art Theater, which shows wonderful stuff, and if you are ever in the area and you can visit Valley Art Theater, I truly suggest it. One of the things that used to go on at Valley Art Theater almost a decade ago now was Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was what brought me to the area initially because a whole bunch of goths would hang out there, and I started my anthropological research on them and the street rats who joined in the drum circle. The drum circle still actually exists. And tonight, wonderfully enough, the drum circle had drums. It's been getting a little bit chilly out there, and while Phoenix and Arizona are in the middle of a desert, you might think that that means that it's hot. Unfortunately, deserts are more prone to extremes than simple, very, very hot all the time. So, as a result, it's down in the 40s and 50s, at least enough to make my nose run, which kind of sucks. And of course you'll notice that I'm wearing my makeup because it's a Saturday and that's what I do. I hung around the drum circle for a little while, which was absolutely lovely, especially because there were drums. Now granted, 2 of them were bongos, but I say that those are still drums. Mill Avenue is losing some of its corporate large big stores, like for example Borders is closing. People like Holthaus, who does Mill Avenue Inc., that documentary on the musical Unjanway start of Mill Avenue, thinks that it's going to be a return to the more bohemian culture, but I don't really see it as being that. But I would like to see more bohemian culture appearing on Mill Avenue, especially because of the giant retail outlets being sucked out by the Tempe marketplace, which was built not that far away. And, you know, people like Happy Cabby and our guitarists who go on the streets and other buskers, all products of the fact that Mill Avenue is something of a hangout. And it's a nightlife region for people to come, especially evenings on Saturdays and Fridays. There's a great deal of bars to go to. There's also several nightclubs, which I believe there was an article a while about them edging out other businesses, but that primarily because it's a young crowd coming out to Mill Avenue, and they do enjoy things like buskers and people selling hemp jewelry on the corners and etc. As for me, I am an amateur anthropologist. I study people. Mostly I record observations of people visiting Mill Avenue. This originally started because I was studying the Mill Avenue street rats. The young kids, or actually older now, who are homeless and itinerant, who jump rail cars or hitch rides from California, from northern climes during the winter, and basically breeze through. These are all sorts who come pretty much out to the drum circle. For example, we had a gypsy troupe that came through in the early 2000s who visited the drum circle and did a lot of dancing for about 2 months during the winter. And were pretty much just sleeping on people's couches and wandering around and being a little bit berserk, but I thought it was wonderful. The drum circle occurs between the Valley Art Theater and My Big Fat Grease restaurant in this circular area that has been dominated now by this giant statue of, I think, one of our Congress critters, Mitchell. And it's basically a huge bronze statue with gigantically long legs. And I think that it's supposed to be a guy on stilts. And that's pretty much where a whole bunch of the street rats congregate, from old critters to new ones. And I spend my time splitting myself between talking to the various shop owners and seeing how they're doing and what they expect to happen to Mill Avenue, watching people wandering by and interviewing people, and I also keep track of, like I said, the local itinerant culture still, although I've spread my examinations of the Ave from not just the effect on the itinerant culture, which has been a little bit upsetting from the viewpoint of Tempe City, especially because there is no shelter and they're not very nice to the homeless population. And especially with attempting to upscale things and the addition of the fake lake, which is also called the Tempe Town Lake, which I will probably go into more in another video. I actually don't work down there, I never have, but ASU, Arizona State University, is not that far away, and I went there for my computer science degree. And maybe if at some point I feel like it and I live a lot closer, I might try to become another career student again and actually go for an anthropological degree, or maybe even English literature or something cool like that. I hope that answers some of your questions, and, well, the ones that were posited at least. And if anyone else has any other questions about what is Mill Avenue, what's going on there, I will try to get a video of the street itself so that you can see all the gorgeous lights, but I'm afraid that my camera is probably just as bad as Happy Cabby's, and you'll only see the lights. But then again, they are rather pretty, so we'll see what's going on there. And I think that's it. To everybody, good night and good dreams.